were all nominated by someone on their campus. And what I asked for was just great kids. And so we have this panel of great kids. We named them Saber. Any of y'all from our that have seen our kind of tagline from our digital learning department is Gorilla Ed. And I don't mean gorilla like the animal, although we do have men and never mind. So we have Gorilla Ed, and we're working on our tagline we're kind of probably going to shorten it to radical and relevant, but we are challenging the tyranny of standardized instruction with radical and relevant learning experiences. So you think of the gorilla challenging and that kind of in-your-face weapons and tools. Well, I look at these kids as some of our tools. And so their task today is and I got a tool, but their task today is to create a message. We don't know what that will look like, but they will create something from their perspective that we can share over the next year that will tell all of us what is it that school needs to look and feel like for optimum learning to occur. So I'm going to have them all come up on stage. And I'm going to introduce them one at a time. And I thought we'd be a little bit overwhelmed if we had to listen, or if we got to listen to 12. So first we have Trent Gaston from Northwest ISD. Wait. We have, not on stage yet, Nicholas Giles from Crowley ISD. Trent, I'm going to let you have a seat in one of the stools. We have Emma Parrish from Glenrose ISD. And Emma Wolfenberg from Weatherford ISD. Okay, those are my elementary representatives from our Student Ambassador Board. But we have middle school representatives. We have Hayden Keeney from Grandview ISD. Chloe Kilgore from Louisville ISD. And Emma Pete, so I'm going to let y'all have a seat in the stools. We have Spencer Riley from Mansfield ISD. Haley Williams from Northwest ISD. And Chloe and Haley, I'm going to let y'all have a seat on the perches. We have Ashley Favara from Arlington ISD. Samantha Finglass from Coppell ISD. Derek Hubbard from Coppell ISD. And we hope later today we'll have Reagan Woods from Northwest ISD join us. So we're going to have our panel be seated. We have some others who are reporters that are going to join us for a surprise question at the end. And kids, your mics need to be on. And they were so relaxed until I put them on stage, aren't they? Yeah. So we'll probably just start and work from Samantha this way to Emma P. Our first question, and they've kind of had some opportunity to pre-prepare some responses for you, and then we will take audience questions. So there is a mic up here in the front, and there's a mic kind of between the two poles in the back. So we will have some audience questions, a time for you to ask them questions. So the first question is, what does your favorite teacher do to make learning successful for you? Samantha.
I think for me, the way to do this is, so like a project that never puts that question into my mind is something that would be amazing.
Absolutely. I think it's going kind of in that same direction. It's about creating authentic experiences. At the same time, bringing in people that are experts in the field. So we do projects in business and marketing and physics, and actually bringing in physicists and marketing executives to come into our schools and give us workshops and lectures, and to partner with outside businesses in your community. It really just makes it worthwhile. It adds a whole nother level of education, and it does make it authentic. But at the same time, realizing that it shouldn't be at the scope that a professional professional would be doing it at. So we've had, projects where we designed the art studio in our classroom, and actually one of the designs was selected and happened this summer. So we give the general idea in a pretty detailed, I would say, kind of mock-up of what the classroom looks like, but also making sure expectations are kept clear and that we're not kind of being overburdened by, kind of what a professional would have to go through to the size and scope. That it's still authentic, but it's the right kind of scope for school.
So Chloe, the same question to you. Projects or assignments, what might be included in a project or assignment that your teacher gave you that would make it amazing?
I think that making a project amazing would be to involve really specific instructions so you know exactly what you're doing, and also making the project into groups so that there's less pressure on just you as an individual, so that there's more people to help you with the project.
Trent?
Well, I've done a lot of projects, and technology is one thing that just makes it amazing, because you can't find out an answer, but you really need it for the thing. Technology, Google it, search it. But, that's really all I have to say. So definitely an open-ended question. So if I was doing an assignment, I would like it to be an open-ended question that I can use technology on. So maybe instead, because I know they did it right last year, so instead of saying what's the unit rate for Dove soap and what's the unit rate for Ivory, rather than you can find any unit rate for any product that you want, and then you can say which one has the best unit rate, which one you should buy, and why. So I can still use technology, and I can still kind of use my imagination too.
And Emma, tell us what might be included in a project or assignment that would make it amazing for you.
I think that you would get to choose the topic of the project, so you wouldn't be doing the same as everybody else.
And we've had several kids mention technology. So now we've fallen off the grid and all technology disappears for a day. What would a meaningful day at school look like if all the technology disappeared?
I think there's no difference. It's still a learning atmosphere. It still should be like a place that students want to be and are happy. The only difference is when you're going to find resources for a paper or whatever you're doing, activities, it's more hands-on and interactive with people, or if it comes to resources and you're looking at things other than what you can find on the internet, but more like in a textbook or just like reading, or I think that's one of the biggest things that I've seen pushed away as technology has been pulled in more, is that we're not doing as much like required school reading or like reading books as a class. So I would bring more of that back in, and then also just more of that human interaction, and not always on Google Docs writing comments to each other on like, oh, you should fix this and you should fix that, but actually like face-to-face saying things, because I mean, even not just in education but also in personal things, sometimes things get carried off differently when you email it or text it, and so I think sometimes it just helps to like, if you do clear out the technology and really like talk about what things are happening, and like even if like you're struggling with something, that one-on-one interaction with your facilitator of, look, this is what I don't understand, can you help me kind of get to the point of understanding that I should be at? That's what I would see in a day without technology.
I totally agree. I think it shouldn't look any different. On our campus, we're fortunate enough that I think like a lot of campuses, everybody has access to technology nowadays. And especially with us, if the Wi-Fi goes down, it's like the apocalypse came early. Completely shut down, teachers are freaking out because they have no idea what we're going to do now. So I think on our campus, we've gotten so used to having that luxury, so when it does shut down, that it's, the world's ending now, just go home. And so I think kind of getting away from that, and it should really look not any different. It's still inquiry-based, collaborative, but instead, like she said, instead of commenting using Google, we're talking face-to-face, and we're not hiding behind our computers or our technology. Because I think that's something that I know our grade, I feel like, has really gotten in the way of, is really communicating face-to-face and being able to interact with people. And so I think that's still an important part, and I would like to see the interaction still there.
So, Chloe, technology has disappeared for a day. What would school look like to still make it a meaningful day?
Well, you could read. You can write.
You could read and you could write. I think those are awesome. Those are awesome suggestions.
I mean, writing, you can still do science, you can still do math. It's not all based on technology. I mean, you still have a lot of things in your class to use to learn, so you don't have to rely on technology for everything.
All right, Trent, I know this question makes you cry.
Well, without technology, if you were just doing an assignment on, let's say, the Great Wall of China, you were like, when was it built? Nobody knows when it was built. You couldn't find it in any books. It wasn't in the library. You couldn't search it up, so you just have to improvise. And just wait till tomorrow to tell technology.
Okay, Trent, are you and I supposed to take a nap that day? Okay. So Haley, all technology has disappeared. We're off the grid. What would school look like for it still to be meaningful?
Okay, first of all, it'd be completely horrible. I think there would be like a different schedule. So if maybe in reading or something you had to write a paper about who knows what, you could have more time to write it because you don't have your tablet and you can't type it. I think that usually, so my mom and my dad always talk about in the old days you have to go to the library to try to figure stuff out. And I think that maybe whenever there is any technology, you have to go to the library and you would have to figure out what you're writing about, get some library books, and do all that stuff they have to do the whole thing.
And Emma, what would school look like if it was meaningful without technology in your world?
You could get a book from the library and do an AI test on paper if that exists, and you could still do math.
You could. Okay, now we want to invite questions from the audience because these were my questions and I know you guys have some great things planned. So if you have a question, if you'll just step up to the mic and we'll invite the panel to answer as desired. I love it when somebody stands up.
By the way, each of you is gifted and talented speaker. Thank you for doing that. It's not like you probably don't think.
No? There it goes. My question is this, for each of you. Do you have a relevant library in your school? If so, what makes it relevant to you? And for some of you, since you make it sound like maybe the library is the last place you would go, I would like you to talk about what would make your library relevant for your school or for you at this time.
Well, our campus is actually the secondary high school in our district. We have Big Capella High School, and then we have New Tech, which is kind of smaller, and it's project-based learning, and so we don't actually have a library on our campus. technology in Google, and you can typically find what you need there. We have some library resources online, or obviously, like we have like public library in Cal that a lot of people end up going to for when using like spaces to work in after school. So that's kind of what we use it for pretty much.
Yeah, I would say we've gotten away, I mean, we don't even have a library, so we've definitely gotten away from even having one. And especially even just going to the public library, that's not really a thing I think that happens a lot anymore, which I used to love to do that as a kid, and I honestly don't know why I stopped doing it. But I think more just like right now, we just use it as a learning space and just kind of a place to go, because I don't think we ever kind of really kind of knew what kind of the value the library had, and kind of the last couple of years not having one, kind of you're like, oh, I really wish I had a library. Just being able to go talk to somebody about, what books to read, and just a place for, everyone to kind of find common ground, even just socially, within that kind of aspect. So I think looking at a place not only that is a learning space, but also that can provide kind of resources, because there's stuff that you can't find online, to where a book is the place to find it.
And Chloe, that same question to you about the library.
When I used to go to my old school, we had a library that was also used as a makerspace, and I really thought it was very useful because we could go right downstairs and there's a library that we could use other books and things like that, even though most people don't go to it because we all have iPhones and tablets and things. But I think having a library is a very useful source to go to.
And so Chloe, I'm going to ask you to extend your answer just a little bit, because you hit on one of my passions, which is makerspace. So I know we've got a lot of librarians that are looking at makerspaces, trying makerspaces. So can you talk a little bit about what made that makerspace work for you?
Well, I didn't go to it that much, but I do know that a lot of people went to the makerspace because we had Genius Hour, and a lot of people's passions were makerspace and making things for other people that needed things. And makerspace is also one of my passions that I do a lot at home, but not so much at school. But I do wish I did do more at school with makerspace. But my librarian was very passionate about makerspace,
And Trent, can you talk about your library and what does and doesn't work for you?
yes, I have a library at my school. Every week, the different classes will have a different library day. Every week, we'll go check out 2 books. If you did the summer reading thing, you could get 3 books. And all of it really works out, except the only thing is, well, there's really no other thing. It just really works out, and my librarian that I had previously is going to be the librarian at the new high school, and that's really all.
Okay, and Haley, we'll throw it to you. Talk about what in your school library works for you and what would make it work even more.
Okay, so one thing that I wish that our library had was, like, I can't ever find stuff that's interesting inside the library because I have like 100 200 books inside my room. But so in the library, like, I'm kind of at the stage where I'm kind of between, and there's stuff, ahead that isn't quite appropriate and stuff. So I wish they had more books for in between, and I wish, because I live in the library, I wish they had Hamlet, because I looked for that book and I couldn't find it. And I think that's pretty much it.
And what about you, Emma? Talk about your school library.
What's good about the library is they have math books for all the kids, and they go to the classrooms, and there are like a lot of books and stuff.
Okay, and I think we have time for at least one more audience question. You're always nervous that somebody won't stand up. It's like the eulogy.
Hello, my name is Taylor Delkin, and I work at Freeway ISD. I'm the ELA teacher for 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Now, we do not have a library, but we are very technology driven there. You all have talked about technology in some way, that you rely upon it so much so that your lives, you don't know what would do if you didn't have it. A lot of my students, though, cry out for the lack of technology. They ask for it not to be there sometimes. Do you ever feel like it's so overpowering that you don't actually get to be away from it and you can live a life without it?
Yes and no. I think in a learning environment, we have a good balance of doing things that are technology driven, and then kind of, if it's the end of a project, like sometimes we'll never have like back-to-back like huge technology driven projects. We'll have a really big technology one, and then we'll have some more hands-on, sometimes kind of incorporating art into things. We did a lot of art in my geometry class, and so I think when we do a good balance and a mix of things, that's how I've never felt like completely overwhelmed with it. Sometimes there's like a day or two where I'm like, oh my goodness, I wish I could just like turn my laptop off and never use it again. But then we'll come right back and it'll finally be something a little bit different.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's about using it in moderation. And so some of it is, I guess we were taught, not to always be on it, to use it when you need it. And so I think that was kind of an important part of why we maybe don't feel that way. It's something we've kind of grown up with, so it's not, we haven't really known anything different. But at the same time, there are days that we don't even get on our technology, that, there's days that I've gone, to my last class of the day and I realized, oh, my computer's still at 95%. I didn't even realize I wasn't using it today. And so it's just about, sometimes our facilitators purposely structure lessons that, kind of don't involve technology in some of the two.
I say that there's some times where I never want to look at a screen again. Mostly because sometimes schools overuse them, and I just think we need to stop using some technologies because sometimes it gives kids too much freedom, and some kids may think that with that much freedom they can do whatever they want, and they really can't, because there's sometimes they do wrong things on them.
Trent, to you, the question of really, do you ever get to that point where technology is just too much?
No. Unless it's, no, unless. I just feel like, I'm not always on technology. I'm not like the person who's going to lose 50 pounds in 5 weeks because I haven't eaten or anything. And there's been and the trash in my room is 5 feet deep. It's not going to get to that, but I just feel like it's really helpful, and if technology went away forever, I would bury myself alive. So if technology went away forever,
Okay, so we're going to go back to the question. Do you ever feel like technology is an overload? So it's overused and...
okay, so if we were to I think we overuse it, but I think it kind of goes to the fact of if we didn't have it, there is the library choice, but I think we'd rather have the technology and overusing the technology rather than having to use like a library where you might or might not have what you need, whatever, like on your tablet you have whatever you need, whenever you need it.
And Emma, do you ever feel like technology is just overused?
Yeah, sometimes it can give you a headache if you look at a screen.
Okay, and I'm going to call the remainder of our SABR group on stage. if y'all will stand kind of behind the chairs in between. None of them have heard this question, and so your follow-up, thanks to Bright Bites, is Kristen Swanson, and the title of her presentation is Learning is a Superpower. So that is the question I wanted to pose to all of the kids is, and we'll start in the back row with Emma W. Okay, so we're sharing mics at this point. What is your superpower?
My superpower would have to My superpower would probably be being kind to others because I just find the good in it. Just being able to do something helpful to one another without expecting something in return.
My superpower would be learning, because if you, like, let's say somebody needs to know something, a doctor, you could help save their life just by knowing what they need.
And Nicholas.
My superpower is like hers. Some people they think that if you have to do something, the other person has to do something bad for you. But sometimes I think you should just do something just to be nice to people.
And Spencer, what's your superpower?
Definitely learning also. I love to learn, and I feel like I can give people information whenever they need it. He's right, and you can definitely help someone.
And Ashley, what's your superpower?
I would say kind of like an attitude, like having a positive attitude whether you want to do it or not, because I think it makes it a little bit easier even if it's not the most desirable project or something.
And we'll go across the front row as well quickly.
I would just have to say that being able to connect with other people and making them feel special about themselves.
I would say leadership, just being able to take a role and be able to lead a group of my students to make a change on any level that you want.
My superpower would be better listening so that I can understand what teachers were asking me to do.
I'm afraid to hear this answer.
My superpower is probably flash learning because I can learn really fast. Like the teacher can give me a simple base idea and I can take it to a whole nother level. And I read a massive book in a few days. So.
Haley, your superpower.
Okay, my superpower is probably leadership and probably all the things that come with it.
And Emma P.
My superpower is learning about
Okay, and since we were talking about superpowers, if you could gift one superpower to your teachers, what would that superpower be? So we'll start with Emma W. If you could gift one superpower to your teachers.
If I could give one superpower to my teachers, it would be able to, how do I say this? Be able to get around with us, be able to handle us because some of us are really rowdy. It'd just be for you guys to be able to know and to be able to just be able to handle us.
Hey,
I would give the power to actually make things more understanding because we can really do not do it at all.
I was doing a superpower to my teacher.
okay, let's get close to somebody's microphone.
I was able to give a superpower to my teacher. It would be the power to understand new things because teachers, there's some uses that are old and all these new stuff and teachers have to try to figure out how to use it, what to do with it,
All right, Spencer.
I have to say patience, because it takes some of us some moments to learn new things. I know it's taken me a while to get finished with my summer Spanish class that I've had to do this summer. So yeah, definitely patience.
And Ashley, what superpower would you give to your teachers?
Something that I've noticed, especially in the last few years with the higher level classes, I guess, is teachers, I feel like they're just so smart, and sometimes they don't know how to explain it to us.
what superpower would you gift to your teachers?
I would give my teachers the power to read minds because I know it sounds crazy, but sometimes we don't know how to vocalize what we're struggling with, and so if they can kind of see what like our thought process is, that would really help. And then also just because like I know like especially teenagers, like we can be hard to deal with, and so understanding kind of what's happening can help be able to like help us progress in our learning experience.
I would say innovation, being able to like redesign lessons to something new that we haven't seen before, but also something that's individualized to the learners in the classroom.
I give the superpower of kindness because I've experienced a lot of teachers that are just they don't really understand what's happening, and sometimes kids are going through a lot of different things, and I think that you just need to be kind to them and just understand that they're probably having a tough time.
Trent, what
If I
superpower?
were to give my teacher it would be to make clones of herself. To handle all of us. Because one person's doing this other thing, they got in trouble, and then when she's handling him or whatever, the other person's doing something. It's all one big mumbo jumbo. She needs clones of herself.
I think if I were to give my teacher a superpower, it would probably be to have kind of a kid's mindset, because sometimes like they don't understand, like maybe if they give us like 7 homework assignments or something, they understand how stressful it is for us. And maybe like technology, and if ours is dead and we have to do like some kind of consequence, maybe like somebody stole our charger, it's not quite our fault, but something like that, to have the kids' mentality and to think about what we're thinking about and stress out about what we're stressing out.
And Emma?
I would give them like the fruits of the spirit because sometimes they're getting mean and